What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's your favorite neighborhood homies. I'm here with Ren tonight, man. We're going to do a little comic book preview for you guys, let you guys know what we're reading for this week. And hopefully you guys can tell us what you're reading. So the first one up that we are actually going to get into this evening is going to be the new Miles Morales. So this is number 4. I got the Tyler Kirkman cover up here, man. I haven't been able to find this one in the store. I'm not trying to even find it at this point in time online. So, but he just, I don't know, man, his artwork is just dope to me, man. But the series, man, for me has really kind of taken off. I know you and I were talking the other day about how we really like the artwork that's being done on the project itself right now. You said that you were a really big fan of the way that they're doing the panels and everything like that. And this one is no exception, man. But this has been refreshing, if you would, just because the last series had kind of went stale. But they introduced a new villain in this one here. And it's just been a solid read, 1, but 2, the artwork's just been phenomenal, man. Absolutely positively loving the artwork that's being done on this one here.
Yeah, this one's dope, man. Did you that's the cover you got, right?
The one that I got wound up being the Pachalo cover. And it was in my shop, it was the best one that was there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a fan of his anyway, from the work that he did on Nonstop Spider-Man. I thought that the artwork that he provided for that specific comic did not meet up with the story that went along with it, but his artwork in that one was dope. So that's where I kind of became a fan of Pachalo's. But he's got a couple of Spider-Man covers dropping in the next couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken, that I've kind of had my eye on. But I wanted the Kirkman cover, man. Kirkman does good work, but I like the direction that the story is going for this one. And like I said, the artwork is definitely helping when it comes to that.
Really like this series compared to the last one. The last one I got for historic value and like cultural value, and I thought it was pretty cool. But like you said, it got stale to me. It was real kiddie. They changed suit. It was kind of whack. So I'm glad they got back to a traditional suit for Miles. And I like that it's quick. I like quick reads. It's not like tedious that I gotta like reread stuff over again. I'm like, Lord, what happened? Like, this is like, you could tell this is like a fast-paced, here is the story, here's what's going on, boom, bam, to be continued. And then you're like, yes, definitely how I like to read my comics, where it's not this, tedious process, long dialogue that's not interesting. The panels are kind of dry. The art's kind of funky. So the new character the antagonist that they presented is a young lady, right? The last thing I saw was like, her parents, they're going through this whole like, yeah, we got together and yada yada yada, and now Shorty's pissed off because of the charter school lottery system, which I get it. I know a couple of kids back home in Boston who are charter school kids. And you have to almost know somebody to get into a charter school. That is seriously a lottery system. So I can see where she's disgruntled. I don't understand how she's that disgruntled. She's like, I'm going to take out superheroes, but we'll see what happens. So I'm anxious to see what the next issue is going to be about. So it looks cool. I like that they're empowering, the females too. Like, not just getting, just dudes running around web slinging. Like, they're actually shorties who are valid soldiers in the game. So it's cool. I dig it.
It's been like I said, it's from what we were used to on the last run, like you had said. It just this one is just a breath of fresh air, man. Just a breath of fresh air. So moving right into the next one, man. The next cover that we are going to talk about, or the next book, if you would, that we're going to talk about, is actually going to be Berserker. I'm going to have to go back and probably reread. The way that I've looked at it is they stretched it out too long. That's been my biggest thing with this one, is that it's just taken too long for it to actually drop. When you and I first started talking about this, I swear to you, the pandemic had just started. You know what I'm saying? So in order for me to be able to like really truly give a solid review on this, the only way I can do it is to go back and reread it, because of the break that it took between one issue and the next. You know what I'm saying? That was just, it was just too much, man. I like the story. I like the idea, the concept behind it, but there's a lot going on. And for them to wait 3, 4, 5 months between drops.
I'm gonna tell you what, for me, like they got me on this one fresh off my John Wick like binge. So I was like, Keanu, yes, he shot up a bunch of people. He's coming out with a comic book, and like the initial covers, I don't know, they were awe-inspiring, man. Like there was one I really wanted to get, but that one was like thousands of dollars. Like if you didn't order that when you weren't going to get, I mean, mind you, I don't have $2,000+ for a cover, but it was really dope. So the first initial series were very, I don't know, it was intriguing because the story's kind of like, yo, who's boy? Where did he get his abilities? Like, what is he? Like, is he an alien? Is he a god? Is he just, supreme being? And then, like you said, it goes through these lulls where I don't know what happened. Like, I literally read the last issue, like, I don't remember what the freak happened before. So I'm glad you said that. I'm probably going to agree with you that we probably need to read that and just go back and see how the story goes in its continuity when we have it all present. But yeah, too many breaks.
It's like one that we had talked about before, man. Both of us loved Nice House on the Lake, but it just took too long for the story to get from point A to point B. And that's the same thing that happened with this. They put a lot of effort into telling a very detailed story. And when you have something like that, it has to drop every month or twice a month in order for you to really be able to keep up with the story itself. Having a 4-month
but it's not even
between...
just a lot of books are like that now, man. It's like, dude, I read this a month and a half ago. I'm a grown person. I got stuff going on. I don't remember what happened.
Not even close. And who's taking cliff notes on a comic book? You know what I'm saying? It's not me. It might be somebody, but it ain't me.
You don't have time. Girls do that. My girls do that. Like they put like little tabs in their books, like Tisha and Star will read books, and they have like tabs and notes as they're reading. We never did that. It would be like you'd read a book, Ren, this is good. Check it out here, drop it off, and leave it there. And then I'm compelled to read it because you left it there. And then I'm like, yo, it was dope. I liked it. Appreciate it. But I never went back and be like, yo, let's have this book club discussion about the themes. And none of that. So they do that. They get like special, like sticky tabs. We might have.
I love them. I love them. I do. You know me. I'm not gonna.
What do you say? Awesome power,
man. You know me, man. I won't do tabs. If I'm gonna do anything, dude, man. Look, you know me. If I need to try and put something in order, what am I gonna do? Spreadsheet. Not putting no tabs in no comic book.
Google Docs. I'm gonna get you a T-shirt that says Google Docs. Google Docs.
Now it's funny kind of transitioning from that one into the next one that we're actually doing, because this one has been a fun read. I mean, just we talked about it before him, man. Like it kind of takes us back a little bit because it is a simpler concept. The story has been really coming along. The story's been really good. And the next one that we're going to talk about is Kaya number 6. All right, so this is the next issue of Kaya. In this one, we're supposed to figure out and find out exactly what happened to her arm. I mean, it's clearly on screen there. I mean, you can very clearly see it, that is the focus of this particular cover. But this book's been good, man. Like it's not trying to be anything other than what it needs to be. It's a fantasy story about a girl and her brother and the adventures that they're having, making their way across the daggone countryside. And it's not anything more than just that. And because of that, I can actually appreciate the fact that that's what they're trying to do with it. Because, I mean, let's be honest, man, talking about the last book that we were just actually referring to, and then coming into this one, it's a breath of fresh air to just have a story that is continuous, easy to keep up with, and drops what it's supposed to drop.
I'm not reading that one, man, but you like it?
I like it a lot. It reminds me of a Saturday morning cartoon, to be perfectly honest.
See, that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, I need simple. Like, we're both fathers. We've got like mad complicated stuff going on. I don't need to be bothered by my leisure time, like making me like super like cerebral about stuff. Like give me the story, make it fun, have me excited about the next issue. That's what I need right now as an older person reliving his youth.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man, because like there's a lot of great ideas out there, and
Mm-hmm.
then the execution just winds up being shit. All right, so the next one that we're going to talk about, man, it's a character that's actually near and dear to my man's heart. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you. The only reason why I even picked up this book was because I knew that at some point in time he would be reading it. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, we're going to talk about Hulk 13. Um, this whole arc is getting ready to come to an end. Otley kind of took over when Cates dropped out, and so now he's doing the writing and the artwork on the book itself. Last issue was good. I did enjoy it, but I think that Donnie Cates, when he was actually writing the initial storyline itself, I think he kind of got in over his head in regards to the whole spaceship and all that kind of stuff, man, because it just didn't flow. You know what I'm saying? Bruce being caught in his own mind, creating a spaceship, and in order for the spaceship to get fuel, Hulk inside of Hulk's mind is fighting and doing all this other kind of stuff, man. And I was like, I don't
Yeah,
have
that
a
was
degree
a
in astrophysics to understand
that's
exactly.
what that was. That's what that was. Like you could eloquently put that any other way except for that was another fumble. And for someone who's a huge Hulk fan, I didn't understand what was going on there. Maybe he was, like you said, he was getting ambitious with the whole schizophrenic multi-personality stuff going on with the Hulk, and it didn't work to me. Like he's in there, but he's got to be enraged inside of his mind, not in real. Like I don't. It wasn't for me. So I'm glad that
I just
was over. So
I I'm
I'm hoping for
fine
more
with you
smash
trying
and anger and rage
I'm fine with
with
you
a,
like
a
exploring
purpose.
the story. I'm fine with you exploring the story. I'm good with it. But yo, like for real, this is what you came up with. This is what you
Yeah,
decided to go
no.
with. And could you imagine being the artist and getting the actual story from the writer and Donnie Cates being, yeah,
Yeah, what is this?
Hulk, Hulk is a spaceship. What?
Yeah,
What?
I would hope one of you would tell me if that was my idea. Be like, Ren, like that's not gonna work, son. Like, don't put that out into the universe. I hope so. I hope my friends are honest enough to tell me like what works and what doesn't work because now it's on a global scale. It went from one dude with an extravagant idea to the artist to now we were subjected to it, and now you can't take it back. At least if it was just me, you'd be like, yo, E, I got this idea. We're gonna make Hulk a ship and by himself. And in his mind, he's gonna have to have an episode to go out into the world and cause too much. Moving on.
And I'd have went straight South Park on you when you came to me like that. Drugs are bad. Okay. In the beginning, it's like, okay, it's Bruce, Hulk, and the spaceship. And then he had a crew and a psychiatrist. And I was just like, you're sitting down talking to a shrink inside of your own head. Nah, dude, you just went
It didn't work.
way
You
left.
know it didn't work. Yeah.
Way left.
And I gave it a chance.
So
I gave it too long of a chance. So
they are redoing this. So there will be another Hulk #1 coming out. I want to say in like a month and a half, if I'm not mistaken. So there will be another try, if you would, for this. So um the next one is a book that you and I both love this book, man. I'm actually a little disappointed because I'm hoping that I read something the other day that there's only like 2 issues left. You know what I'm saying? And the next one we're going to talk about is going to be Little Monsters. Prime example of having an idea and executing it. Period. Just the way that they've done the artwork, the black and white at first, I was just like, I kind of do without that. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I really could. And then it just we've talked about this a couple of times with a couple of different books. It fits what they did with the story. The only color that you see is the color red, because of the blood, you know what I'm saying, and stuff along those lines. It's just when these two get together, when you got Lemire and you got Wynn, it's just been good. There's really no other way to put it. You know what I'm saying? Because they understand one another. When you have a writer and an artist that understand one another, they don't even have to, like, I wouldn't have to tell you, all right, Ren, here's my story. On this page, I was thinking about this. On this page, I was thinking about this. On this page, it was thinking about this. It would be, Ren, here's the story. Let me know when you're done.
Right.
Give me the pages when you're finished. But just the way that they have taken it now to, these people have already drank, this group has already kind of split, and this group of individuals has now drank blood. This group of individuals has not. This group of individuals has just found out that this group of individuals knew that the elders left and weren't coming back, and that they didn't have to stay inside of the city. So now they're pissed. And it's just, they do it in one issue, covers so much by doing so little, and it just works. It just works.
Yeah, I definitely love the traditional whole vampire theme, but in this case, you're not dealing with a bunch of grown people. Like, you're actually seeing like little kids like go through this process, and then you're wondering like the whole time, who decided to make little kids immortal like this, and then kind of deny them from what sustains them. But they were able to survive off, animals and stuff of that nature. And then, like you said, like the factions breaking apart, and some are trying to hold true to what they were told to do. And some people are like, yo, bump this. I already got a taste of this. Like, I want more of that. Where the people at? So, and the fact quick is, I need quick. It's like just something real fast that I can get to, enjoy it, and then look forward to the next issue. And that's what they did with Little Monsters. They took an old story, made it new, fresh, and they have the reader anticipating the next issue. And the artwork, to me, to some people might not like it, but I think it works perfectly. Like, even just off of that whole Robin Batman series we read before, I wasn't a big fan initially, but the more you read it, it goes with it. It really presents the theme and the environment perfectly.
And at this point in time, I can tell you, with the number of, this is going to be a fantastic trade or hardcover to have, just to be able to have the entirety of the story in one, you know what I'm saying, collected. One of my favorite books just actually dropped as a hardback, and I already own the trade, but the Layla Starr hardback dropped, and I'm tempted to just go out and get it, because it's one of my favorite books over the course of the entire time that we've been doing this. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I think that, now this was, again, though, when this book is coming out, you remember what happened in the last issue. It's not something that is overdone or anything along those lines. It knows what it is, and it sticks to it, and it does not veer off that path whatsoever. And because of that, the story has just been, it's been great, man. It's been a refreshing read, you know what I'm saying, compared to something and some of the titles that we talked about previously in this episode.
Correct. Don't bombard people with a bunch of stuff and then wait like months and weeks and like to get it out to people again. Like, you have to remember all of that.
You have a story that you are telling, and you know that you're going to have a monthly or a bi-monthly drop on the story, then you can write the story with a little bit more quickness. But if you're going to drop a book and then 4 months later drop another book, or you're going to drop a book where you basically have to work for like the secrets, basement style stuff at NASA that you can't even talk to your wife about in order to be able to understand.
Yeah.
You're going to lose people.
Yeah. You know what? Going back to Berserker, I thought that would have been good to have like a podcast companion with it.
To explain
something you read it. Yes. That'd have been great. At least you would have had something to listen to in between, like the episodes and then, or the issues, I would say, and then some clarification as to what the freak is going on. But anyway, that's it's a long story, literally.
Yeah, literally. So the next one that we're going to actually talk about is Quested number 4. This was one that, believe it or not, man, like I had sent Renee a picture of the initial cover, you know what I'm saying, for the first one, because I knew that he would like it because it has the whole, gaming, if you would, cover concept. And I knew that that would be something that he would actually appreciate. And so I actually grabbed the book, man. And then when I got that on book home, I actually sent him a text like that night and was like, yo, you kind of need to see this, man. Like, this is actually a good read. And we're both huge Scotty Young fans. We've said that before, man. And it reminds me of I Hate Fairyland. It just does. You know what I'm saying? And it's this shisty dude with a crew of people trying to get, you know what I'm saying, money out of people and stuff along those lines. But it knows what it is and it doesn't take itself seriously. And because of that, it's so much fun to read.
I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't looking for this stupid story, but you sent me that cover, and I'm like, I've got to get it just off the first cover. Zelda is probably top 5 all time of my life favorite game franchises. So when I saw that first cover, I'm like, man, this is 1987. I'm leaving school. I can't wait to get home. I'm reading my Nintendo Power books. We had to open up the joint and get the full like map, and then you get your pen, your big pen, and you put little holes and little marks on the map. Like, yo, this is a secret dungeon, blah, blah. Like, it reminds me of that. So when I saw that cover, I was like, yo, I got to go back to simpler days. And then I found out just after you told me that all the issues had a game variant, and they all were Zelda games that I played like intensely over years. Like the N64 one, I remember my cousin Ronnie coming over every day after school, and he'd get like, he went and bought like a thing called, man, those walkthrough books. And he was like, yo, Ren, and he would read the whole thing to me, like from beginning to end. That was our process until that game was done. So that reminds me of spending time with like my favorite little cousin. You know, when I was older, I was like 7 years older. I am 7 years older than him, and I had other things going on, but in an attempt to hang out with him, he'd come over and I'd spend time to play this game, and we would talk, and he'd read it, and I'd play it, and we'd laugh and we'd joke. And it definitely puts me in that space of simpler days. So aside from the cover, like E said, it is kind of reminiscent of, Scotty's work on that Fairyland book, but it has like, pop culture references. Like you'll get Lord of the Rings stuff, you'll get like the Legend of Zelda stuff. There's all kind of references in there that if you're like, especially our age, you go back and read it, you're like, yo, I see where they were going with that. This fantasy world criminal where he's pulling these scams on people. But it's fun. It's another one, quick to the point. I'm not belabored with a bunch of information or like bombarded with a bunch of stuff that I got to encrypt on each panel. Very fun, very well done. I love it. And when it ends, I'll probably be disgusted looking for that next fix of lost happiness.
And Whatnot books, man, have been kind of hit or miss. You know what I'm saying? And this was really refreshing. You know what I'm saying? In order to be able to jump into a book that just, again, man, it reminds me of getting up on a Saturday morning, going downstairs, grabbing a Pop-Tart, glass of milk, sitting down in front of the TV and watching cartoons for 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just like you said, man, simpler days are always simpler days will reel me in hook, line, and sinker every single time. The last book, it's funny because, you talk about, simpler days and this and that and so on and so forth. And then we jump into a book that you and I have been reading since the very beginning. And that is Noctera. So this one, I honestly thought that the story was over. I'm not even gonna lie to you. When in the first arc of this series, when they got to the spot and everything like that, and had the big shootout, and it was the big thing over the water and this, that, and she comes around. Mm-hmm. And now next thing you know, the main character now has turned into a shade, and not just any type of shade, but she turned into the person that she hated the most. You know what I'm saying? As far as all the other characters are concerned in this story. And I was really concerned when they were going to come back with this specific thing again, just because, like, what are you going to do with the story now? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. And so because of that, it just wound up turning into one of those things for me, man, where I don't know, man. Like, I got really worried that they were going to take a story that I liked and take it too far. And so far, the addition has been just that. It's been an addition to the story itself. And it's been enjoyable. I think that's the biggest thing to kind of take away from it is that it picked up where the first arc kind of stopped, and it just kept that momentum going. So it's been solid for me.
For me, I definitely liked it initially. When I told you about it, it was just one of those. I think I saw it on somebody's channel. They had reviewed it. I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. And it started out really strong. It's typical post-apocalyptic disaster, like the world's in peril. Got one savior trying to do her best, blah, 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 blah. But for me, I think this is definitely kind of leaning towards it's going on a little too long. End it, kind of, or like as we kind of like, finale coming up. It's like ending,
Right.
and then it's like you said, now we're doing something else. And I don't know if it was strong enough to continue doing something else. So we'll see how it goes.
Right. And the good thing is that you can kind of see the ending is in sight. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I think that's the fear that every reader has. You know what I'm saying? Is oh man, this is such a good story. I hope they end it when it's supposed to end and how it's supposed to end. And like you said, not drag it on. I mean, all of us have watched something on TV or read a series or something like that where what's the old adage, man, at work could have been taken care of in an email.
Every meeting I've ever attended, ever.
And that's just that's where some stories get. And like I said, some stories are able to take that next arc and take the story to the next level. And some of them take that next arc and it kind of fizzles out a little bit, and then you lose readers, and then all of a sudden you just don't see it on your pull list anymore. What was the one you sent me the other day? A Vicious Cycle or something like that? Like the first book was dope, and then all of a sudden.
What you mean you don't know? I forgot it was a thing until I was cataloging stuff the other day. I'm like, wait a minute. What happened to number 2 on this?
It does not have a release date even at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. And see, like, that's the thing. Sometimes you have an artist driven story that winds up getting shelved because they get put on a book, they sign a deal and they get put on a book with something a little bit more major, and it winds up taking up more of their time. You know what I'm saying? So I know that Rom V had a book out called Radio Apocalypse that I really liked because it had its own soundtrack throughout the entirety of each one of the comics that did drop for the story. There was subtle pictures and references to specific music. And if you listen to specific songs while you read that specific portion of the book, it almost played like a movie. Like it was part of the story. And he got into Detective Comics, and then he got into The Vigil, and then he's gotten back into so all of a sudden an independent writer owned book gets kind of pushed to the side so that the mainstream stuff can kind of come in, or other projects come in, and then it just never gets picked back up. And I'm a little nervous that might be the case with A Vicious Circle. So
I thought it was a good one too. So I'm hoping they come out with something, because I want to know what happened. I have to really think about man, did I miss it? Was it a one-shot thing? Maybe I need to know.
No, nope,
nothing.
Just hasn't come back out, man. So
we'll see.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this week's preview show. These are the comics that are available this week at your local comic book store or online, depending on how you get your comics. As always, man, we want to thank you guys for joining us. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, comment on the videos. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're reading. Tell us what we should be reading. And my favorite part of the show, I'm going to turn things over to the greatest hype man that y'all know in podcast history.
Listen, I don't even know why I got to keep doing this over and over again. You already know. You know what time it is. You know who your homies are. It's us, the favorite ones. So follow us, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, podcast, the Home Trinity Podcast. You got to do it. Just do it. Make it happen. Because he said so.
Because I said so. All right. On that note, man, we want to thank y'all for coming out, man, and joining us. Like I said, man, like the channel, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you're reading, and let us know what we might want to check out. You know what I'm saying? I'm more down to read a little bit more sometimes than my man is, but if I tell him what the deal is, he's more than likely to pick the book up. So I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all. Peace.